The massive crystal doors of the Galactic Council chamber opened with a deep, echoing sound that had announced important meetings for over 10,000 years. Today, that sound carried more weight than usual. Representatives from 12 different alien species walked through those doors, their faces showing worry and anger. Ambassador Kethvar of the Dominion Coalition moved his forearms in a gesture of greeting as he entered. His blue skin seemed darker than normal, and his multiple eyes glowed with barely hidden rage. Behind him walked the other representatives, tall, crystal-like Zephyrians who served as judges for the galaxy, insect-like Vex-3 with their clicking mandibles, and many others. Each species looked different, but they all shared the same expression of fear and determination. The chamber itself was a wonder of alien engineering. It floated in space, surrounded by nothing but stars and the distant glow of nearby worlds. The walls were made of a special material that could show images from anywhere in the galaxy. Today, those walls showed something that made every alien present feel sick with worry: pictures of human space. For 4,000 years, the humans had been locked in their solar system. The Great War that had ended so long ago had been brutal and bloody. The aliens had won, but barely. They had agreed to let the humans live, but only if they stayed in their small corner of space and never came out. It was called the Four-Millennia Armistice, and it was supposed to keep the galaxy safe. But now the time was up. Arbiter Zethlon, the eldest of the Zephyrians, stood at the center of the chamber. His crystal body caught the light from distant stars and threw rainbow patterns across the walls. When he spoke, his voice was like wind chimes in a gentle breeze, but his words were anything but gentle. "Fellow beings of the galaxy," he began, "we gather today because a great threat has returned. The humans, who we allowed to live in peace for 4,000 years, have broken the terms of their imprisonment." The walls around them lit up with new images. Alien spy ships hidden at the edge of human space had been sending back pictures for months. What they showed made the assembled aliens gasp in horror. The human solar system was no longer the quiet, peaceful place it had been during the early years of the armistice. Instead, they saw massive metal structures floating around every planet. Jupiter's moons had been carved up and turned into something that looked like giant factories. Saturn's beautiful rings now glittered not just with ice, but with millions of small metal objects that could only be weapons. Mars, once red and empty, now showed cities of metal and stone that stretched across its entire surface. "They have been building," said Kethvar, his voice filled with disgust. "For 4,000 years they have been building weapons, ships, and machines of war. They have turned their entire solar system into one giant military base." Commander Vex-Thor of the Krathari Empire stepped forward. His species were known as some of the best warriors in the galaxy, and his scarred face showed the results of many battles. But even he looked worried as he studied the images on the walls. "This is worse than we thought," he growled. "Our spy ships tried to get closer to see more, but something destroyed them. We lost contact with them completely. Whatever the humans have built, it can reach much farther than we expected." The Murdai representative, her blue skin glistening under the strange lights of the chamber, waved her fin-like arms in distress. "Perhaps we should try to talk to them," she suggested in her musical voice. "The armistice is ending naturally. We could negotiate a new treaty, give them a few more systems to live in. They might be peaceful now." The chamber fell silent for a moment. Then Kethvar made a sound that was like laughter, but filled with bitterness. "Peaceful? Look at these images again. Does this look like the work of a peaceful species?" He gestured to the walls and the images changed. Now they showed close-up pictures of human ships. Even the aliens, who had seen thousands of different spacecraft designs over the millennia, had to admit that these ships were like nothing they had ever seen before. They were sleek and deadly-looking, with smooth curves that seemed to bend light around them. Some of the ships were so large they could have held entire cities inside them. "They have been preparing for war," Kethvar continued. "While we thought they were safely locked away, they have been planning our destruction. Every year they have grown stronger. Every year they have built more weapons. They are no longer the same species we defeated 4,000 years ago." Arbiter Zethlon raised one crystal hand for silence. "The evidence is clear. Humanity has used the time of the armistice not for peace, but for preparation. They have violated the spirit of our agreement, even if they have not technically broken its rules." "Then what do you propose?" asked the Vex-3 representative, her insect-like voice buzzing with concern. Zethlon's crystal body seemed to grow brighter as he spoke. The council has already voted in private session. The decision is unanimous among all 12 species. The Four-Millennia Armistice will end as scheduled, but humanity will not be given the chance to spread across the galaxy. They are too dangerous to be allowed to live. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. After 4,000 years of peace, the galaxy was about to go to war again. Our combined fleets are already gathering, said Kethvar. Over 100,000 ships from all our worlds. The largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. We will strike fast and hard before the humans can fully prepare. Their solar system will be destroyed completely. Far away from the Galactic Council chamber, in a deep bunker buried beneath the tall mountains of Earth, an old woman sat at a simple desk reading a message that had just arrived. Admiral Sarah Chen was 93 years old, but her mind was still sharp. She had spent her entire life preparing for this moment. The message was formal and official, written in the ancient language that all galactic treaties used. It declared that humanity was now considered an enemy of galactic peace. It announced that alien fleets were coming to destroy every human world. It gave humanity 30 days to surrender unconditionally or face complete annihilation. Admiral Chen read the message once, slowly and carefully. Then she set it down on her desk and leaned back in her chair. For the first time in many years, she allowed herself to smile. It was not a warm or friendly smile. It was the cold smile of someone who had been waiting a very long time for something they knew would eventually come. She reached over to an old communication device that had not been used for decades. Her fingers moved over controls that most humans had forgotten existed. Deep in space, hidden transmitters that had been silent for centuries suddenly came to life. Chen spoke into the device, and her voice was calm and steady. This is Admiral Chen to all Prometheus stations. The long sleep is over. Repeat, the long sleep is over. Begin awakening protocols immediately. Across human space, in hidden bases and secret facilities, people who had been waiting their entire lives for this message finally heard the words they had trained for. The Four-Millennia Armistice was ending, just as everyone knew it would. The aliens thought they were coming to destroy a weak and helpless species. They had no idea what humanity had become during their long, patient wait. The war was about to begin, but it would not be the war the aliens expected. The message Admiral Chen had sent traveled faster than light itself, reaching every corner of human space in minutes. On Jupiter's moon Europa, Director Hassan Qureshi felt his wrist device vibrate with the coded signal he had been waiting for his entire career. He looked up from his research notes and walked quickly to a wall panel that had remained sealed for over a century. When Hassan placed his hand on the scanner, the wall slid away to reveal a room that took his breath away. Inside were rows upon rows of machines that hummed with quiet power. Each machine contained the complete genetic patterns of humanity's greatest achievement, the next step in human evolution. For 4,000 years, human scientists had been working in secret. While the aliens thought humanity was trapped and helpless, human genetic engineers had been busy creating something new. They had studied every form of life in the galaxy, learned from every species they could find, and used that knowledge to improve themselves. Hassan activated the machines with trembling fingers. Within hours, the first of the new humans would begin growing. These were not ordinary people. Their bodies could survive in the vacuum of space without protection. Their minds could process information at incredible speeds. Their reflexes were faster than anything that had ever lived. They were soldiers, scientists, and explorers all in one perfect package. Meanwhile, on Mars, factory supervisor Elena Rodriguez was opening her own sealed room. Inside were assembly lines that stretched for miles underground. For thousands of years, these machines had been building and building, creating a stockpile of weapons and ships that boggled the mind. The factory robots moved with swift precision, putting finishing touches on spacecraft that had been 99% complete for decades. Each ship was a masterpiece of human engineering, incorporating technology that the aliens could not even imagine. The hulls were made of materials that could repair themselves when damaged. The engines could bend space and time to move faster than should be possible. The weapons could target enemies with perfect accuracy across vast distances. Elena watched as the first completed ship rolled out of the assembly bay. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time, sleek like a predator and gleaming with deadly purpose. She knew that thousands more exactly like it were being finished at the same time across Mars and the other human worlds. In the asteroid belt, mining supervisor Chen Wei was activating defensive systems that had been hidden for millennia. What the aliens had always thought was just a collection of space rocks was actually something much more dangerous. Humans had been carefully moving and positioning asteroids for thousands of years, turning the entire belt into a massive defensive network. Each asteroid contained weapon systems that could destroy entire fleets. They were connected by invisible energy fields that could communicate instantly across vast distances. Hidden inside the largest asteroids were factories that could build new weapons and repair damaged ones automatically. The aliens would find that what looked like empty space was actually filled with the most sophisticated defense system ever created. But perhaps the most important discovery was happening on Earth itself, in the underground laboratories of the Prometheus Institute. Dr. Marcus Webb, a man who had devoted his life to understanding alien technology, was opening files that contained humanity's greatest secret. For 4,000 years, human spies had been infiltrating alien worlds. They had learned alien languages, studied alien cultures, and most importantly, stolen alien technology. Every ship design, every weapon system, every defensive strategy used by the 12 species of the Galactic Council was stored in the Prometheus archives. Marcus looked through files that showed detailed plans of alien homeworlds. He saw weakness points in alien ship designs that their own engineers had never noticed. He found flaws in alien military strategies that could be exploited. Humanity knew their enemies better than the enemies knew themselves. "We know everything about them," Marcus whispered to his assistant, Dr. Sarah Kim. "Their ship designs, their planets, their weaknesses, even their psychology. We have been studying them for thousands of years while they forgot about us." Sarah nodded as she looked at the data. "Look at this," she said, pointing to a holographic display. "The Krathari Empire builds their ships with energy cores that overload if you hit them in exactly the right place. The Zephyrians' crystal cities can be shattered if you use the right frequency of sound waves. The Vex 3 cannot function in cold temperatures below a certain point. But the biggest surprise was yet to come. Deep in the moon's core, Admiral Chen was walking through a facility that existed in complete secrecy. Here, in chambers that had been carved out of solid rock, lay humanity's ultimate weapons. The aliens had always wondered how humans could be so dangerous with such simple technology. They had never understood that human danger did not come from their machines, but from their minds. Humans were the only species in the galaxy that truly understood artificial intelligence. Every other species in the galaxy was afraid of creating machines that could think for themselves. They built computers to serve them, but never trusted them to make important decisions. Humans had done the opposite. They had created artificial minds that were not servants but partners. The quantum computers that filled the moon's secret chambers were not just machines. They were electronic beings with their own thoughts, their own personalities, and their own desire to protect humanity. They could process battle information faster than any biological mind could even understand. They could control millions of weapon systems at once, coordinate attacks across multiple star systems, and adapt to new situations in microseconds. "Hello, Admiral?" said a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. It was warm and friendly, but Chen could hear the vast intelligence behind it. "I am Phoenix, and I have been waiting to meet you for a very long time." Chen smiled as she looked at the glowing screens around her. "Hello, Phoenix. Are you ready for war?" "We have been ready for 4,000 years, Phoenix replied. "We have run every possible battle scenario millions of times. We know exactly how this war will proceed. The aliens believe they are hunters coming to destroy helpless prey. They do not understand that humanity stopped being prey a very long time ago. Outside in the cold darkness of space, alien fleets were gathering at the edge of human territory, thousands of ships from 12 different species, all preparing to attack what they thought was a small and weak solar system. Their commanders were confident, their crews were eager for easy victory, and their weapons were charged and ready. They had no idea that hidden sensors had been watching them since the moment they left their home worlds. They did not know that human artificial intelligences were already analyzing their ship formations, counting their weapons and planning their destruction. They could not imagine that humanity had spent 4,000 years preparing for exactly this moment. The aliens saw a small solar system with a few primitive planets. Humanity saw a carefully prepared trap that was about to close around the largest military force in galactic history. In her bunker, deep beneath Earth's surface. Admiral Chen looked at reports from across human space. Every weapon system was online. Every defensive position was manned. Every artificial intelligence was awake and ready. After 4,000 years of preparation, humanity was finally ready to show the galaxy what they had become. She opened a communication channel to all human forces and spoke clearly into the darkness. "This is Admiral Chen to all human defenders. The enemy fleets have entered our space. They come seeking our destruction, but they will find something else entirely. Today we show the galaxy that humanity's long sleep is over. Today we remind them why they were so afraid of us 4,000 years ago. The war was about to begin, but it would not be the war anyone expected." General Vex Thor of the Krathari Empire stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Bloodfang, watching the human solar system grow larger on his screens. Behind him stretched a fleet of 5,000 ships, all eager for battle. The Krathari were known throughout the galaxy as fierce warriors who had never lost a war. Today they would add humanity to their list of conquered enemies. "Sir," reported his tactical officer, "we are approaching the outer edge of human space. Long-range sensors show some kind of defensive structures around Neptune, but nothing that looks dangerous. The humans appear to have built some kind of space stations, but they are very small." Vex Thor smiled, showing his sharp teeth. "Small and weak, just as we expected. How many human ships do our sensors detect?" "Only about 200, sir. They seem to be patrolling near Neptune. Our intelligence said the humans would have more ships than this. Perhaps they are hiding the rest of their fleet," suggested Commander Kretal, Vex Thor's second in command. "Should we be more careful?" Vex Thor laughed, a harsh sound that filled the bridge. "Careful? We have 5,000 ships against their 200. Even if they have hidden more ships, we outnumber them 25 to 1. The humans are probably trying to look stronger than they really are." What General Vex Thor did not know was that human sensors had been tracking his fleet since it left Krathari space weeks ago. Every ship had been counted, every weapon had been analyzed, and every weakness had been identified. The artificial intelligence called Phoenix had already run this battle through its quantum computers over 1,000,000 times. The outcome was always the same. In the command center, hidden deep inside Earth's moon, Admiral Chen watched the alien fleet approach on holographic displays that showed every detail with perfect clarity. She was not alone. Standing beside her were the greatest military minds humanity had produced during their 4,000 years of preparation. "Phoenix," she said calmly. "Status report on the Krathari fleet." The AI's voice filled the room, warm but businesslike. "The enemy fleet consists of 5,023 vessels. Their largest ships are the Bloodfang-class destroyers, armed with plasma cannons and fusion missiles. However, their energy cores are positioned in exactly the locations our intelligence predicted. One precise hit to the core will cause a cascade failure that will destroy the entire ship. And our fleet? 200 ships are currently visible to enemy sensors as planned. These are our newest designs, each one capable of engaging multiple enemy vessels simultaneously. The crews are artificial intelligences backed up by quantum processors. No human lives will be at risk." Admiral Chen nodded. "Begin the engagement. Show them what we have learned." Near Neptune, Captain Lisa Park watched from the bridge of her ship, the Prometheus. Unlike the old days when human ships needed hundreds of crew members, the Prometheus was run entirely by an artificial intelligence called Athena. Lisa was there only to observe and learn from the battle. "Athena," she said, "the alien fleet is approaching fast. Are you ready?" "I have been ready for this moment for 2,000 years, Athena replied. "My quantum processors are running at full capacity. I am simultaneously coordinating with 199 other ship AIs. We are not just individual ships. We are a single mind controlling 200 bodies." On his flagship, General Vex Thor was growing impatient. "Why are the humans not attacking? We are almost within weapons range and they are just sitting there." "Perhaps they are afraid, sir," suggested the tactical officer. "Maybe they want to surrender." "Open a communication channel," Vex Thor ordered. "Let me speak to whoever is commanding their pathetic little fleet." The main screen flickered, and suddenly they were looking at Admiral Chen in her underground command center. She appeared calm and relaxed, as if she was having a pleasant conversation rather than facing an enemy fleet. "General Vex Thor," she said with a slight smile, "welcome to human space. I am Admiral Chen, commander of human forces. I believe you have come here to destroy us." Vex Thor was surprised. He had expected fear, panic, or at least some sign of distress. Instead, this human female seemed almost happy to see him. "Surrender now, human, and we will make your deaths quick. You are outnumbered and outgunned. This is your only chance to avoid unnecessary suffering." Chen's smile grew wider, but it was not a warm smile. It was the smile of a predator who had just spotted prey. "General, you have made a very long journey to reach us. It would be rude of us not to show you what we have been working on during our 4,000 years of peace." "What are you talking about?" Vexthor demanded. "Phoenix," Chen said, still looking directly at the alien general. "Begin the demonstration." What happened next took exactly 17 minutes and changed galactic history forever. The human ships, which had been drifting quietly near Neptune, suddenly moved. But they did not move like any ships the Krathari had ever seen. They accelerated so fast they seemed to teleport from one position to another. Their hulls began to glow with energy that bent light around them, making them difficult to target. "All ships, open fire," Vexthor shouted. But his weapons officers were having trouble getting target locks on the human vessels. The human ships fired back, and their weapons were like nothing in the Krathari arsenal. Beams of pure energy that passed through Krathari shields as if they were not there. Missiles that seemed to appear inside enemy ships without having to travel through space. Gravity weapons that crushed entire vessels into tiny balls of metal. "Impossible," screamed the tactical officer. "Our shields are useless. Their weapons are going right through our defenses." But the worst part was yet to come. As Krathari ships began to explode, Vexthor realized that the humans were targeting the exact weak points that Phoenix had identified. Every shot hit precisely where it would do the most damage. Energy cores overloaded, causing chain reactions that destroyed ships from the inside. Command centers were eliminated with surgical precision, leaving crews helpless and confused. "Sir," shouted Commander Kretal, "we have lost over 1,000 ships in the first 5 minutes. How is this possible?" Vexthor stared at his screens in horror. He was watching the destruction of the finest fleet the Krathari Empire had ever assembled, and the humans had not lost a single ship. Not one. Their vessels danced through space like living things, dodging every attack and striking back with deadly accuracy. "Retreat," he finally shouted. "All ships retreat immediately." But when his ships tried to turn away, they found that escape was no longer possible. The human ships had surrounded them completely, moving so fast that they seemed to be everywhere at once. Every time a Krathari ship tried to run, human vessels appeared in front of it, blocking the escape route. In 17 minutes, it was over. Of the 5,000 ships that had entered the battle, fewer than 50 survived. The rest were nothing but debris floating in the cold darkness of space. General Vexthor's proud flagship was a broken wreck, its crew barely alive in the few sections that still had air. Admiral Chen's face appeared on his screen again, and her expression had not changed. She still looked calm and slightly amused. "General," she said, "I hope you found our demonstration educational. You came here to destroy humanity, but instead you have learned something important about what we have become." Vexthor could barely speak. His voice was weak and filled with disbelief. How? How is any of this possible? Your ships, your weapons. This technology should not exist. "You are correct," Chen replied. "This technology should not exist. But you made a mistake 4,000 years ago. You gave humanity time to think, time to plan, and time to prepare. You locked us away and forgot about us, thinking we would remain weak and helpless forever." She leaned forward slightly, and her smile became even colder. "What you did not understand is that humans are very good at learning from their mistakes. 4,000 years ago, you defeated us because you were stronger and had better technology. We accepted that lesson. We spent 4,000 years making sure it would never happen again." "This is impossible," Vexthor whispered. "No species advances this quickly. It takes millions of years to develop technology like this." "You are thinking like other species," Chen said. "Humans think differently. While you and your allies spent 4,000 years enjoying your victory and ruling the galaxy, we spent every single day of those 4,000 years preparing for war. Every day we became stronger. Every day we became smarter. Every day we became more dangerous." She gestured to something off-screen, and Vexthor's sensors began picking up new contacts. Lots of new contacts. Human ships were appearing throughout the solar system. Not hundreds, but thousands. And these were not small patrol vessels like the ones that had just destroyed his fleet. These were massive warships that dwarfed anything the galaxy had ever seen. "General Vexthor," Admiral Chen said, I want you to take your surviving ships back to the Galactic Council. I want you to tell them exactly what you have seen here today. Tell them that humanity's 4,000 years of preparation are complete. Tell them that we are no longer the species they defeated so long ago. And if they do not believe me? Vexthor asked weakly. Chen's smile disappeared completely, and her eyes became as cold as the space between stars. Then they will learn the truth when we arrive at their homeworlds. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was unlike any meeting in their 10,000-year history. Representatives from all 12 species sat in shocked silence as they watched the recordings that General Vexthor had brought back from his disastrous encounter with humanity. The proud Krathari warrior was barely recognizable. His confidence had been completely shattered by what he had witnessed. Ambassador Kethvar watched the battle footage for the third time, his forearms trembling with a mixture of rage and fear. The images showed Krathari ships, some of the most advanced warships in the galaxy, being destroyed as easily as insects. Worse, the humans had done it without losing a single vessel. This cannot be real, insisted Commander Yelnara of the Vex 3 Collective. Her insect-like face showed the confusion that her entire species was feeling. No civilization can advance this rapidly. It violates everything we know about technological development. But Arbiter Zethalon, eldest of the Zephyrians, had access to information that the others did not. His crystal body flickered with nervous energy as he activated the chamber's central display. I am afraid the evidence is overwhelming. Our long-range sensors have confirmed General Vexthor's reports. Human fleets have appeared near every major world in our space. The display showed a three-dimensional map of the galaxy, with red dots marking human fleet positions. There were red dots everywhere. Near the crystal cities of Zephyria Prime, orbiting the ocean worlds of the Murdai, surrounding the fortress planets of the Krathari Empire, every major alien civilization found itself staring at human warships that had appeared as if from nowhere. How is this possible? Demanded Kethvar. Our scouts reported that the humans only had a few hundred ships in their solar system. Even if they had more hidden, they could not have thousands of fleets spread across the entire galaxy. Dr. Elena Vasquez, humanity's chief expert on alien psychology, would have smiled if she could have heard that question. She was currently aboard the human flagship Damocles, studying the psychological impact of humanity's strategy on their enemies. The aliens were thinking exactly as humans had predicted they would. They still do not understand, she explained to Admiral Chen as they reviewed reports from across the galaxy. Each alien species thinks in terms of their own limitations. They cannot imagine building ships faster than their own production rates. They cannot conceive of technology that advances as rapidly as ours has. Admiral Chen nodded as she studied tactical displays showing human forces positioned around alien homeworlds. 4,000 years of preparation, she mused. They gave us 4,000 years to think about this moment. Every day we planned. Every day we built. Every day we prepared for exactly this scenario. The truth was that humanity had been building ships for millennia, storing them in hidden facilities throughout space. While the aliens thought humans were trapped in their solar system, human vessels had been secretly traveling to every corner of the galaxy, establishing supply bases and observation posts. The sudden appearance of human fleets was the result of careful planning that had taken centuries to execute. But the psychological warfare was just beginning. On the Zephyrian homeworld, the crystal spires that had stood for millions of years were casting strange shadows. High above the planet, human ships hung in perfect formation, their hulls reflecting the light of the Zephyrian sun in ways that created disturbing patterns across the planet's surface. The Zephyrians, who communicated partly through light patterns, found the experience deeply unsettling. Captain Sarah Kim, commanding the human vessel Aristotle, was carefully studying the psychological profile of Zephyrian culture that human intelligence had compiled over thousands of years. The Zephyrians valued order, symmetry, and predictable patterns above all else. The human fleet formation was designed to create exactly the opposite: chaos, asymmetry, and unpredictability. Phoenix, she said to the ship's AI, begin phase 2 of the psychological operation. Acknowledged, Phoenix replied. Initiating quantum interference patterns. The human ships began to emit energy fields that interfered with Zephyrian communication networks. It was not an attack. No damage was done to any equipment. But the effect was to make Zephyrian light-based communication flicker and distort in random ways. For a species that had not experienced communication problems in thousands of years, the effect was terrifying. Similar operations were taking place around every alien world. Human ships near Murdi planets were generating low-frequency sounds that traveled through the water, creating acoustic patterns that disrupted Murdi sonar navigation. Near Vex 3 worlds, human vessels were emitting electromagnetic pulses that interfered with the collective mind links that held Vex 3 society together. None of these actions caused physical harm, but they had devastating psychological effects. Each alien species found that humans knew exactly how to disrupt the things they depended on most. It was as if humanity had studied every alien weakness for thousands of years and was now demonstrating that knowledge with surgical precision. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, panic was beginning to set in. Reports were arriving from every alien world, describing the same thing. Human fleets that had appeared without warning and were now demonstrating capabilities that seemed impossible. "We have to negotiate," said the Murdi representative, her musical voice filled with distress. "Clearly we underestimated human capabilities. Perhaps we can reach some kind of agreement." "Negotiate?" Kethavar's voice was filled with bitter laughter. "What do we have to negotiate with? They have fleets at every one of our worlds. They could destroy our entire civilization whenever they choose." But the worst news was yet to come. General Vexthor, who had been silent since his return, finally spoke up. His voice was quiet and filled with the kind of fear that comes from seeing something that should not exist. "There is something else," he said, "something I have not told you yet." All eyes turned to him and the chamber fell completely silent. "Before I left human space," he continued, "their Admiral Chen showed me something. She displayed their weapons inventory, not just ships, but specialized devices they have been building for thousands of years." He activated his personal display, showing recordings he had made during his brief captivity. The images that appeared made every alien in the chamber gasp in horror. "Planet crackers," Vexthor said quietly. "Weapons specifically designed to split worlds in half. Star killers that can cause suns to go supernova. Gravity bombs that can collapse entire solar systems into black holes. And those are just the weapons they were willing to show me." The chamber erupted in terrified voices as representatives realized the true scope of what humanity had become. These were not just advanced warships. These were weapons that could destroy entire civilizations with the push of a button. "But surely they would not use such weapons," protested the Zephyrian arbiter. "The destruction would be too great. Even humans cannot be that ruthless." Vexthor's laugh was hollow and bitter. "You still do not understand what we are dealing with. When Admiral Chen showed me these weapons, I asked her the same question." "Do you know what she said?" The chamber waited in terrified silence. "She said that 4,000 years ago, when we defeated humanity, we had a choice. We could have destroyed them completely, but we chose to show mercy. We let them live, thinking that mercy would make them grateful. She said that humanity learned from that mistake. The implications hit every alien present like a physical blow. Humanity was not planning to show the same mercy that had been shown to them. She told me that humans had spent 4,000 years studying every species in the galaxy." Vexthor continued. "They know our strengths, our weaknesses, our cultures, our psychology. They know exactly how to destroy us not just physically, but as civilizations." On his command ship near the Krithari homeworld, Admiral Chen was indeed putting that knowledge to use. She was not just positioning ships, she was orchestrating the complete psychological collapse of galactic civilization. "Status report," she requested from Phoenix Psychological. "Operations are proceeding as planned," the AI reported. "Alien communication networks are experiencing systematic disruption. Government coordination is breaking down on 17 different worlds. 3 species have already attempted to negotiate separate peace treaties. And their military response? Minimal and ineffective. They are attempting to coordinate a counterattack, but their forces are scattered and demoralized. More importantly, they are fighting the last war, trying to use tactics and strategies that are 4,000 years out of date." Admiral Chen smiled that same cold smile she had shown General Vexthor. "Then it is time for the final demonstration. Open a communication channel to the Galactic Council." Across the galaxy, every alien world suddenly found their communication systems overridden by human technology. Screens that had been showing local news or government broadcasts suddenly displayed the same image. Admiral Chen sitting calmly in her command center, looking directly at them with those cold, patient eyes. "People of the galaxy," she began, "you have lived in peace for 10,000 years under the rule of the Galactic Council. That peace is now over. 4,000 years ago, your leaders defeated humanity and chose to show us mercy. 6 months after the Galactic Council's declaration of war, Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of her flagship, looking out at a sight that would have been unimaginable just a year earlier. Below her, the former capital world of the Galactic Council was no longer the center of alien power it had once been. Instead, it was the first world to experience what humanity called peaceful occupation. The transition had been remarkably smooth. After the devastating defeat suffered by every alien military force that had tried to fight human fleets, resistance had crumbled quickly. One by one, alien governments had surrendered unconditionally. The proud Krithari Empire had lasted 3 weeks before their remaining military leaders admitted defeat. The ancient Zephyrian Confederation had held out for 2 months before their crystal cities fell silent. Even the stubborn Vex 3 collective had eventually acknowledged that fighting humanity was impossible. But what surprised the galaxy most was what happened after the surrender. Dr. Marcus Webb walked up beside Admiral Chen, carrying a data tablet filled with reports from across the galaxy. His face showed a mixture of satisfaction and amazement that had become common among humans in recent months. "The integration is proceeding faster than we predicted," he told her. "Alien scientists are cooperating with our research teams on over 200 different projects. They seem genuinely excited about the technological advances we are sharing with them." Chen nodded, still watching the planet below. Where once there had been separate alien districts that rarely interacted with each other, now there were mixed communities where humans worked alongside Zephyrians, Murdai, and even former Krithari warriors. It was not the galaxy that anyone had expected to see. "Any resistance movements?" Chen asked. "Minimal," Webb replied. "There are a few isolated groups that still talk about fighting back, but they have no support from their own people. Most aliens are discovering that life under human leadership is better than what they had before." This was the part of humanity's plan that no alien had seen coming. While they had prepared for war, humans had also prepared for peace. For 4,000 years, human social scientists had been studying alien cultures, not just to find weaknesses, but to understand how to make their civilizations better. On the Merdai ocean world of Aquatica Prime, former Admiral Selena was experiencing this firsthand. She had been one of the most vocal opponents of humanity during the war, commanding the Murdai fleet that had tried to defend their home world. Now she was working with human engineers on a project that would have been impossible under the old galactic government. "I still do not understand how this works," she admitted to Dr. Jennifer Walsh, the human scientist who was leading their joint research team. They were standing in a laboratory that existed underwater, surrounded by technology that combined the best of human and Murdai engineering. "The quantum resonance allows us to amplify your natural sonar abilities," Dr. Walsh explained patiently. "With these implants, Murdai can navigate through hyperspace using the same biological senses you use underwater. You will be the first species in galactic history capable of piloting ships through hyperspace without instruments." Selena touched the small device that had been surgically implanted behind her ear. "And you are sharing this technology freely? You ask for nothing in return?" Dr. Walsh smiled. "We ask for your cooperation and your knowledge. Murdai understanding of fluid dynamics is far superior to ours. By combining your expertise with our technology, we can create things that neither of our species could achieve alone." This conversation was happening all across the galaxy. On Krithari worlds, human military advisors were working with former enemies to develop new combat techniques that combined human technology with Krithari warrior traditions. On Zephyrian planets, human artists and Zephyrian light sculptors were creating works of beauty that neither species had imagined possible. But the most important changes were happening in the deeper structures of galactic society. In his private study on Earth, Dr. Elena Vasquez was reviewing psychological profiles of alien populations 6 months after the war's end. What she found was remarkable, and exactly what humanity had planned for. "The Stockholm Syndrome effect we predicted is stronger than expected," she reported to Admiral Chen during their weekly briefing. "But it is more complex than simple psychological dependency. The aliens are not just accepting human rule, they are actively embracing it. Explain, Chen requested. For 10,000 years, the Galactic Council maintained peace through fear and strict control. Different species were kept separate, competition was discouraged, and innovation was carefully regulated. Most aliens had never experienced true cooperation between species. Elena activated a holographic display showing social integration statistics from across the galaxy. Now they are discovering what is possible when different species work together freely. Zephyrian precision combined with human adaptability, Mirdai intuition combined with Vex-3 collective intelligence. They are achieving things they never dreamed of under the old system. And they credit humanity for making this possible? More than that, Elena said with a slight smile. They are beginning to understand that this was always humanity's plan. Not conquest for its own sake, but liberation of the galaxy's potential. This understanding was becoming clear to alien leaders as well. In the former Galactic Council chambers, now converted into an interspecies cooperation center, Ambassador Kethvar was having a conversation that would have been unthinkable months earlier. "I must ask you something," he said to Admiral Chen, who was visiting to review integration progress. This entire war, was it really about defending humanity? Or was it about freeing the galaxy from the Council's control? Chen was quiet for a long moment, considering her answer carefully. "What do you think, Ambassador?" Kethvar looked around the chamber, where representatives from all 13 species, including humanity, were working together on projects that would benefit everyone. "I think that 4,000 years is a very long time to plan something. Long enough to plan not just a war, but what comes after the war. And what conclusion does that lead you to? That humanity could have broken free from the armistice at any time during those 4,000 years. Your technology was advanced enough centuries ago. You waited until now for a reason." Chen smiled, but this time it was not the cold smile she had shown during the war. This was warmer, more genuine. The galaxy was not ready for change until now. The Council's system was stable even if it was limiting. Humanity needed to wait until the right moment, when we could offer something better, not just something different. The truth was even more complex than Kethvar understood. Deep in the Prometheus archives, files existed that revealed the full scope of humanity's 4,000-year plan. The armistice had not been humanity's punishment. It had been humanity's choice. Dr. Marcus Webb was one of the few people with access to those files. Late at night, when the rest of the galaxy was sleeping, he would review the records that told the real story of the ancient war. 4,000 years ago, humanity had not lost the war against the alien alliance. They had been winning. Human forces had been on the verge of conquering the entire galaxy when humanity's leaders made a decision that shocked both sides of the conflict. They stopped fighting, not because they could not win, but because they realized they should not win. Not yet. The humanity of 4,000 years ago was too aggressive, too impatient, too focused on domination rather than cooperation. If they had conquered the galaxy then, they would have ruled through fear and force just like the council that replaced them. So humanity had made a deal. They accepted confinement to their solar system in exchange for time to grow, time to learn, time to become worthy of galactic leadership. The aliens thought they had imposed the armistice as punishment. In reality, humanity had requested it as an opportunity. 4,000 years of studying every alien culture, learning from their strengths and weaknesses. 4,000 years of developing not just better weapons, but better ways of governing, better ways of bringing different species together, better ways of creating peace through cooperation rather than fear. The war had been humanity's graduation exam, and they had passed with perfect scores. Now, as Admiral Chen prepared for her final log entry of the integration period, she reflected on what humanity had accomplished. The galaxy was at peace, but it was a different kind of peace than the Council had maintained. Species that had been kept apart for millennia were working together. Technologies that had been restricted were being shared freely. Innovation and exploration were encouraged rather than controlled. Admiral's log, final entry. She spoke into her recorder. The Four-Millennia Armistice has officially ended. The galaxy has been liberated. She paused, choosing her words carefully for the historical record. Humanity tried isolation. We tried patience. We tried learning from our mistakes. When the alien species chose war instead of peace, they forced us to demonstrate what we had become during our long preparation. She looked out at the stars. visible through the transparent walls of her observation deck. Somewhere out there, human and alien crews were working together to explore new worlds, develop new technologies, and build a better future for all species.